All right, this week's stock pick is MTW. Here's the symbol right here. Right there. As always, okay, we have probably 8 to 10 on average every night for the members in our stock pick, our live stock chat room, okay, our live trading chat room that we make all our calls in real time in for our members, okay. That said, we still try to pick one of these at random each week, send out a video, show you what we're looking at, but the bread and butter really occurs on an intraday basis because we don't know how the market's going to open tomorrow, whether or not it's going to gap up or down. But we will follow up, as always, with a video tomorrow night to show you whether or not we traded MTW and what we did with it. And so over the weeks, hopefully you'll get a feel for what we look for on an intraday basis on how we trade it as the day unfolds. All that said, MTW kind of in a nice base here after a pretty good pop, okay? What we're looking for is hopefully a break above this base. Now let me switch to a weekly chart. And you can see, get my drawing tool again, up over this area, okay, if you look to the left, there's just nothing. It's basically what you'd call blue skies. You had this big sell-off here. Now remember, these are weekly candles, but certainly has room to run. Not a lot of resistance to the left, in other words. Now back to daily candles. And it's been, after this move, it's been basing for a good week and a half, so it could potentially break out here. And what we're going to use for a couple potential catalysts tomorrow are 1559. That would be a break of today's high. This is Thursday's candle right here that I'm hovering the mouse over. 1559 could be, which would be a break of Thursday's high, could be enough to get us through, what day was this? April 15th, where it hit 1574. So 1559, let me say that again. Yeah, 1559 and 1575 are a couple potential catalysts that, if broken, there they are. If broken, you kind of have a little wedge pattern, if you will. If broken, could yield some upside because of that weekly chart we just showed you. All right. Now we don't know if the market's going to gap up tomorrow, gap down, or anything. So everything depends. Everything we're telling you here is contingent upon MTW opening somewhere around where it closed, the 1554 area, opening there on Friday, somewhere in that area. And also we have other rules in place. If it triggers in the first 5 minutes, we'll pass on the trade more often than not, depending on other factors. But more often than not, we'll wait for a different type of setup. Don't like to take a trade in the first 5 minutes. I really don't like to take a trade in the first 15 minutes. I like to let the early chaos kind of wind itself down and then wait for the low-risk entries like you may have seen in the video we put out earlier today. That's a good example of what we look for. Okay, so all that said, MTW is the pick this week. Only trade with money you can afford to lose. Use tight stop losses. We always use tight stop losses, usually based on a chart. And I'm going to talk about one other thing that I'm finding kind of interesting. And I took a small position in my IRA today in this SD, Sandridge Energy. I guess a sort of bonus pick, if you will. Now, one warning or caveat. I'm not much of a swing trader. I'm not much of a long-term trader. The guys in the chat room joke around if I hold something 3 or 4 hours, that's, for me, that's considered a like a long-term investment. But I did take a little bit of SD here today in the upper 750, so I didn't get a great entry on it versus the last few days. But I'm going to show you why it's interesting here and why I'm taking a little bit. Now, as always, let me go back. As always, if this rolls over and takes out recent lows, okay, in the 690s, I'll probably kill the whole trade. So I'm risking about 70 cents a share. And of course, if you're swing trading or an investment, you always want to trade a little smaller than if you're trading something based on intraday candles that you know you're going to go flat at the end of the day. But that said, I did take a small position here, and again, fully prepared to kill it if it gets down in the 690s. Now, normally I would never use a stop that wide, but based on a swing trade idea, it makes your stops have to be wider based on the daily candles. Now, to what I was going to say. These are switching to monthly candles. You can see this is, it looks like it came public in late 07, it looks like. But let me zoom in to show you what I'm looking at here. So this is technically from basically the beginning of 2008 when it started trading up until now. These are monthly candles. The thing I find interesting, massive volume this month, and this month still has over a week to go. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed to run, okay? one of our members, I mentioned this to the chat room today, and one of our members said, there's a pretty decent insider buying right now. It looks like earnings are coming out in about a week. And it's kind of interesting that insiders are buying kind of big. Again, you don't ever bet the farm on that, but it's kind of interesting that insiders are buying fairly big here before earnings come out. And again, this is the highest volume month ever for SD, and the month still has room to go. Zooming in a little farther, okay, the high of this month so far was 803. Last month, if you use these candles kind of like we use other candles, the month before last, 831. So if this candle can close anywhere around here, in other words, the month can end somewhere in between the 750s and the 8s, or maybe even continue higher, I may have gotten a decent entry today right around 759. I bought it near the close, and again, my worst case stop will be in the 690s. Took it small, but again, not to be redundant. The volume is interesting, and the insider buying is interesting. So I just thought I would share that with you. And I'm going to wrap this video up now. Again, the pick for the week, MTW. I don't want to be on monthly candles here. Daily candles. We're looking for a break above that base. And also, we'll always, as we teach, use tight stops. So have a good night. Look this weekend, sometime this weekend, I'll get the follow-up video to talk about MTW, whether we traded it on Friday and what we did with it. So have a great night, and we'll talk to you this weekend.